you were a pup. We played together growing up. You'll always be a friend to me. You help me understand how I could be a man by searching for my destiny.
You said it's God and family and everything after that. Remembering the lessons, hard to keep it intact. You wanna leave a legacy, starts with making an impact. And we can all see you did that. Started with the basics and moved right on to the classics. Said you owe your future to the places that you've been at. 2013, remember the contemplating. Wide-eyed teen was wondering how I make it. So what makes a man successful? To take hold of every little blessing by handful and work it to its full potential and then some. If you neglect the water in them seeds, it won't grow. Making sure your better half is better off. Little ones filling up the house with love. Little laughs run amok and then you're done. You said don't overthink it. Just love God and work hard to leave this world a better one.
I knew you since you were a pup. We played together growing up. You'll always be a friend to me. You help me understand how I could be a man by searching for my destiny.
Always be a blessing. You got trust in the Lord by investing. Every opportunity, show them they could be more than they thought that they was meant for. Taught me how to mentor. Little did I know that I was info. When you stopped me in the hall and said what's going on, I said I'm trying to learn a song. You said okay, you know I got you, come along. I kept playing it wrong and didn't know the words, so you tossed me some pen and paper, said forget it, you should write your own. And I needed that desperately. At a time when I just knew that I could leap, but see I didn't know how. You said, child, believe in yourself. Over time, shaking up trees and the leaves will come down. See, you gave him a chance, wrote me a plan. Taught me dedication pays to get the upper hand. I think it panned out well. I wish you could see with a tip of your hat and a nod to agree. Peace.
I knew you since you were a pup. We played together growing up. You'll always be a friend to me. You help me understand how I could be a man by searching for my destiny.
All of them are not music majors. It's open to anyone in the college, film, TV, dance, I don't care. So getting them at the beginning, then having them learn and work as a choir, it does no good for them to just sing inside the classroom. They have to come out to the community. They have to go out and they have to perform in order to get the full experience of what's really going on in a musical setting. If you just make music in your bedroom, it's great for you, but what are you making it for? You're usually making it to get a message out. You're making it to express something. And a performance is the perfect place to do that.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ooh, look, they're talking back. And welcome here to Columbia College, Chicago, as we honor one of our family members. And it's so good to see everybody showing up to join in the celebration of life for Martez L. Rucker.
I'm Joe Serqua.
And I'm Bobby Wilson.
Bobby and I knew Martez for a long time. He was a student of both of ours. We co-directed him in the musical adaptation of The Ugly Duckling.
He was also on the staff for the accompanist, and everyone who was a vocal student knew him, as well as the piano students. He was loved and admired by faculty and students alike.
We watched him graduate from here, and then he went away and got his master's, and then he came back and became a faculty member and a colleague.
And we appreciated everything that he contributed to the department. One thing we knew for sure is that when Martez walked through the door, he was going to be wearing a hat. The other thing that we knew for sure is that one hat represented several things that he was capable of doing. When we first met him, he was tinkering around the piano, of course, and then he started to sing, and we say, oh my goodness, what do we have here? And then, of course, he went away, as Joe told you, and he honed his skills, and we were able to have our students enjoy everything that a Martez Rucker could teach them.
Martez was a brilliant composer and also a really brilliant arranger. He was a wonderful musical director, and he was really a great performer. I hired Martez often to sing on my scores. In fact, I mean, I can honestly say that whenever the score called for an African-American male voice, Martez was always one of the first calls. And he was a true perfectionist. And most of the time, after we would get done with the take, and I would say to him, Martez, that's great, let's move on to the next thing. Martez would look at me and go, no, I can do it better. Let's do it one more time.
What else can we say about Martez? Those of you in the audience, you know he made a personal impression because of his talents, but he also had this little impish smile that I could see on those pictures when he was a young boy. And it was always a pleasure to have Martez come in and take lessons from me. He was my voice student. But I was entertained because he would sit down and play and sing, and I just sit there and nod my head and close my eyes and enjoy. Martez also was such a good student, faculty member, accompanist, that I even hired him on a couple of my gigs, and I was never disappointed in what he was able to do to help me present my musical message in the best possible way.
He was a great teacher. He was a passionate teacher. And it was not uncommon to see Martez giving impromptu piano lessons or tutoring sessions during his lunch hour out in the hall. He just cared that much about his students. And as a community, we cared that much about him. It's really great to see so many alumni back here, I gotta say. I wish we were here under happier circumstances, but really, we're celebrating the life of a great man, and that is a happy thing.
And what better way to celebrate than actually sharing some of Martez's music with you and his arrangements. And we're going to be doing that with some very special guests. We call them the Memorial Choir, the Vocal Jazz Memorial Choir, and they've all volunteered along with the band that you're going to hear. And they're under the direction of
Tiffany Monique Collar. So we'd like to bring them to the stage now.
sunshine so sincere, sunny one so true. I love you. Sunny, thank you for the sunshine bouquet. Sunny, thank you for the love you brought my way. You gave to me your all and all, and now I feel 10 feet tall. Sunny one so true. I love you. Sunny one so true. I love Thank you for the sunshine bouquet. Sunny, thank you for the love you brought my way. You gave to me your all and all. Now I feel 10 feet tall. Sunny one so true. I love you. Sunny.
An old Bobby Hebb classic, Sunny. A few things, and I know there were many, that I had in common with Martez was hats. I love me some hats. In the depth, in deep love for jazz harmony. And how that can swirl around you and warm your spirit. His level of excellence was so revered wherever he was. And I had such a deep respect for him as he walked the halls and shared his gifts and talents. His arrangements are desired by many groups and performed, including that one, Sunny. The next song we're going to sing for you is a Thad Jones standard that's typically performed around the holiday season. One other thing that I knew is Martez Rucker loved deeply his spiritual family, his immediate family, and his musical family. And you felt that as well. This song encompasses that feeling. It is entitled, A Child is Born. It was commissioned for the ILMEA District 7 Vocal Jazz Festival, which is very popular within the high school districts here. And he was able to arrange this song and direct it. And we will perform it for you. Right now, I'm going to ask a homework assignment. There are a few holiday ditties in here. He was a clever arranger. So if you listen closely, you may be inspired by some carols.
Let's hear it one more time for the Chicago Box Memorial Choir. So a lot of you know that I retired, and I can't think of a better reason for me to return than to honor Martez. And there are some other people who wanted to honor him also. Also retired was his first chairperson here in the music department. And Dick Dunscombe wanted to send in some words of remembrance. He says, "Hello, it's Dick Dunscombe here. I had the honor of serving as the music department chairman at Columbia College, Chicago for 11 years. During that time, I was able to see Martez first as a student and later as a faculty member. Martez was an outstanding student with both a tremendous talent and a loving spirit. He was able to share himself with both students and teachers alike. He was immediately a leader and an outstanding musician. Martez left Columbia to earn a master's degree and then returned to Columbia as a faculty member. He took an established vocal jazz program to a new and higher level. He was a welcome addition to an already strong music department faculty. His energy and charisma were immediate and have lasting impressions on the many students and others with whom he came in contact. He brightened any room he entered. While he is no longer present, his legacy will always be a part of the Columbia music story." And now I would like to introduce the chairperson presently in that seat, and that is Sebastian Hautz.
Thank you, Ms. Dodge. Wrong one.
Turn it on.
Turn it on.
What a concept in the music department, huh?
Better? Yeah, okay. Thank you, Ms. Bobby. Dear Misha, dear Cynthia, dear Samuel Levy Rucker, dear family and friends, I feel blessed that at last we can unite, because it's taken the time to commemorate and honor Martez Rucker. And that we can do so with the people he loved and meant the most to him makes it ever so more special. So I thank you for being here with us today. I also knew Martez in many different ways. I also was one of his teachers. During his sophomore year in undergraduate studies, Martez took a class in advanced theory and harmony with me. After a week or two, he approached me after class. I'd sparked his curiosity by showing some obscure, complicated, heavy-duty, early 20th century, dense, dusty, classical harmonic stuff that otherwise never failed to bewilder my students or put them to sleep. He sat down at the piano, played some of the examples from class he had just listened to and immediately memorized, and pointed out some inconsistencies and proposed some alterations that made already complicated matters even more complicated. But man, it sounded so good. And I challenged him to put it to his own work, which he promptly did. You heard some of it today. Those after-class meetings became a regular occurrence. I showed him my music, he showed me his. In each other, we recognized a mutual nerd-like passion for wild chromatic harmonic experimentation. And while he was not officially studying piano with us, invited him to come to our weekly piano group lessons anyway, and unless he had a gig elsewhere, he was there, performing, listening, contributing, or being a mentor to his fellow students. After being awarded his degree from the music department in 2007, he made what I would call a soft departure. In the subsequent year, Martez practiced voraciously, and he remained a frequent guest at our weekly keyboard forums, performing at our student concert nights, accompanying singers, starting to play in clubs. He landed a gig for the high tea at the Hilton and started to make a name for himself. That same year, the famous harmonica player and pianist Howard Levy was for a day-long workshop on contemporary harmonica and piano performance with us. And of course, I invited Martez to join us. And of course, he showed up. Howard gave an incredible presentation. I mean, he's an incredible virtuoso, where he performed harmonica and piano at the same time. And once he was done, well, after about 40 minutes, he started calling on the piano students that were present to come up and perform. Boy, never in my life did I see so many eyes turned either towards the ceiling, the floor, or the north and the south wall. No matter how much Howard tried to reassure people, it was okay, and come play whatever. After all, that's what the workshop was about. There was a great hesitance to step up to the plate. That is, except for Martez. After he seated himself at the piano, put his fedora that he was already donning on the side, he simply asked Howard what he wanted to hear. So Howard said, well, blame it on my youth. And Martez obliged. After Martez's beautiful rendering of the song, Howard then asked Martez to trade eights with him. Howard joining him on the second piano that we at the time had on the stage here. And off they went. Little by little, the most incredible runs, licks, and substitutions started flying by, both trying to outdo the other. It got the audience on their feet, but none of the other students played. In 2008, he spread his wings to pursue graduate music studies at Western Michigan University, and by 2010, he had earned his Master's of Music in both piano and vocal jazz performance. No sooner had he returned to Chicago, or Martez called me up and asked if he could come back to sit in the piano forums and performances. So for about 2 years, he continued to frequent as a guest, but something had clearly changed. Martez, the former student, had now become Martez, the young mentor. He loved to teach. By 2012, we were very fortunate to be able to get Martez hired in an official capacity, first as a private lesson instructor, soon as staff accompanist, and just a few seasons later as an ensemble director, mostly running the vocal jazz ensemble, of which you heard the results a moment ago. As a piano instructor, since I was at the time coordinator of keyboard studies, he showed himself a natural, very resourceful mentor who did not shy away from being a taskmaster, challenging his students to adopt essential practice and performance routines through gentle but insistent persuasion and an eclectic choice of music. Well, like that music, yes. When ensemble director Mimi Rolfing left, Martez was invited to take over the direction of the vocal jazz ensemble, and he instantly led the group on a path that included the same adventurous harmonic language he had taken interest in so many years back in that dusty harmony class of mine, now fully mature and effortlessly woven into his own work and arrangements, as you already heard and you're going to hear again today. Students come and students go. They spread their wings and hopefully our good name. Only a few alumni rise to a much different level of commitment and return to join us, not only as friends, but as venerable colleagues and family. For Martez, that meant generously contributing his talent, time, insight into, and passion for music to help our department in its effort to develop an ever more vibrant and progressive curriculum. His devotion to his art, his students, the beautiful music he left us, his tenacity, his gentle collegiality, his patience, his smile, his positivism, and his limitless love and passion for the profession set standards that were a major influence and contributed to reshaping our department in so many ways. It's through these memories that Martez will live on. Until we meet again. And it's my honor to invite Dr. Rosita Sands, the Dean of the School of Fine and Performing Arts and our former chair of the music department, to the stage. And she'll have a few words for you as well.
Thank you, Sebastian. Martez was a student on his way to finishing his undergraduate degree here when I joined the music department faculty. So while I'm certain I heard him perform many times and no doubt crossed paths with him, I didn't know him then and didn't really get to know him until much later in my role as associate chair and then chair of the department. As you've heard from several others, he went on to earn a master's degree in music performance at Western Michigan University. And while I don't recall the exact year that he was hired to teach here, I believed he was hired with great expectations and with an immense amount of pride because he was, after all, one of our own coming home. We were proud to have him back amongst us in a much different role and status. Faculty knew him well. They were aware of his gifts, his talent, his potential, and all of that evidence engendered the trust required to offer him a teaching position and the opportunity to be more broadly involved in the department in several roles, as you've heard, in different areas of the curriculum. His excellence as a musician was well known. However, Martez proved to be a gifted educator as well, and his pedagogical skills and acumen were put to use not just in the music department, but also through his role with the college's community schools, which was housed in the unit of the Center for Community Arts Partnership. That was a center that employed teaching artists to work with pre-collegiate students in after-school programming. It strikes me that the term teaching artist was particularly appropriate as a descriptor for Martez because he excelled at both. I know he also taught at the Chicago High School of the Arts, Old Town School of Folk Music, Urban Missions. He worked with many other community-based arts educators and arts organizations. He was a hard worker, and he was obviously quite in demand. I searched my emails to see what I could find of email exchanges with Martez, and what drew my attention immediately was the list of descriptors delineated beneath his signature as a way of signaling to the world who he was. In this order, he listed vocalist, pianist, arranger, composer, then director, and finally, professor of voice and piano. Martez was known for his passion, dedication, and commitment to extracting the very best from his students. Students have described him as demanding, challenging, and genius. Someone who pushed them to be the very best, and despite the fact that they were students, someone who held them to professional standards. Martez was admired and loved by many, as can be seen by those who made the effort to be here with us today to celebrate his life. He brought style, passion, and determination to all that he endeavored. I offer my consolation to family, to his friends, former students and colleagues, and my hopes that all continue to find solace in the memories of a life well lived and a legacy that lives on. Thank you.
Rosita, you missed one descriptor. Martez never put this in writing, but he would frequently say to me, well, you know, I am the director of vocal jazz ensembles at Columbia College because there are only two, and I direct both of them. My name is Ellen Winters Reynolds, and I am the current director of the Jazz Pop Choir. And I have to say that I geeked out with Martez on many an afternoon in the part-time faculty office, sharing different versions of recordings. Have you heard this one? Have you heard that? Oh, but did you hear that one? And we would just back and forth listen to all these fantastic jazz harmonies. and someday plan the Vocal Jazz Festival that Columbia College would hold when we both won the lottery, and we could put it on. But there was no group that Martez Rucker revered more and admired more than the New York Voices, the internationally acclaimed New York Voices. He was a lover of close voice harmony singing, and you could tell he wrote it. And we are blessed to have the lead soprano from that group with us today. She was also integral in getting Martez's first arrangement published. I'd like to welcome to the stage Miss Kim Nazarian.
Thank you, Ellen. Hello, beloved family, special friends, esteemed colleagues, and dedicated students of Mr. Martez Rucker. I stand before you in this great place of honor as a friend of Martez's and as a representative of my bandmates, New York Voices. We were all friends with Martez and first met when he was accompanying the vocal jazz choir here at Columbia College. His talent was quite evident, but I didn't realize then that he would grow into a great arranger and conductor, forever leaving his mark on the world of vocal jazz. For a number of years, I would get to see Martez twice a year, once in the fall for my solo residency in Chicago, and then once in the spring at the New York Voices Vocal Jazz Festival. On both occasions, Martez would surprise me. At Columbia, I would be astounded at how good his group was singing his very difficult charts. And at our festival, he always made it a point to do an arrangement from one of our solo projects. It was always a treat to see who he was going to pick that year. For me, he did Still Life, an original song of mine and my husband's. And the ironic hook is, there's still life in a song. And that's how I will remember Martez, in the music. I recently lost my second parent, and I'm the oldest of two, so my thoughts frequently wander to cherished family memories. My sister and I have finished clearing out our childhood home, and my folks left behind so many things that they obviously couldn't take with them. But they also left behind a family who loved them and will always remember them. We are their legacy, living lives that they would be proud of, seeking happiness, still making dreams come true for ourselves and for others. I'm a do unto others as they would do unto me type person. And I know that if the roles were reversed, Martez would be holding a sacred space for me as well. So I ask myself, how will I remember Martez? I will remember him through my devotion to his son. I will promote his music and add to Samuel's scholarship at every possible turn. I will remember him by supporting his incredibly strong and driven wife. I will remember him by teaching his music and getting as many programs as I can to embrace his arrangements. I will remember him by continuing to assist in getting his materials published. I will remember him with every stylish hat that I wear. I will remember him by I will remember him every time I go to the deli across the street. I will remember him as my incredibly talented friend who would do anything for me at any time. Martez was a gentle giant who left us too soon. But he was here long enough to make a musical mark that will last forever. That's right. His charts are not for the squeamish. You have to have courage, intelligence, passion, and the ears of an elephant to pull off his arrangements. But they're good. They are unique. And they are challenging, just like Martez. Let this celebration not be the end of our relationship with Martez, but the beginning of keeping him in our hearts always. I know I speak for myself and my colleagues that we miss our friend, and I will personally dedicate my performance at our next festival to him. We were blessed to know him even for a short while. Honestly, I feel like one of the lucky ones who got to know him through music. For me, music is life. Life is music. And Martez will constantly be with me when I hear a good piano player, or I hear a good chart, or I see a cool hat, or I enjoy a nice bowl of matzo ball soup. And I promise you all, there's still life in a song. Thank you.
Speaking of life in a song, wouldn't you like to hear some more music? So I'm going to bring out our memorial rhythm section. Alumni Julian Fort on piano, alumni Michael Gore on drums, and current students Andrew and Jackson on guitar and bass. And Jordan and Megan, and this is West Coast Blues.
How you guys doing? I got asked to introduce it after, and I got to be one of Martez's private students, and I spent 4 years studying under him. And one of the things that Martez was big about was no matter how cool we could do reharms, polyrhythms, and everything else, you had to learn standards. And he was big on that. If you didn't know the standard, he'd be in the back like, yeah, that was cool, but, you know. So with that, this is West Coast Blues.
Suitcase full of sorrows. I'm so tired of paying traveling dues. I'm lonely in the evening. No use make believing anyone else could make me happy like my little darling. One of these days I'm gonna pack my bags and go way back home so I can see my baby on the East Coast. I've got the blues. I got my baby on the East Coast, a gig on the West Coast, and a suitcase full of sorrow. I'm so tired of Peggy Jacobs, y'all.
Of the many different titles that Martez had, we all know he was an outstanding musician and educator. That's not negotiable. But I think that some of the roles that he held most dear, some of the titles that meant the most to him, were son, husband, and very proud father. So it is my distinct pleasure to invite his mother, Cynthia Johnson Woodfolk, and his beautiful wife, Misha Rucker, up to the stage to offer some words that they want to share, but I also want to make sure that I show you this wonderful image that was created by the Columbia Chronicle as part of Martez's obituary in the Chronicle. The designer of this no longer attends the college, but I was given permission to have this made into a wrap canvas so that you could have this in your home for Samuel and for all of you to admire. So this is Columbia's way to keep us in your hearts. So.
Hello. Have a little speech I prepared. Had to write it down just in case my nerves got the best of me. And by seeing everything, I'm glad I did. It's been amazing. Thank you guys so much. First, the speech. I've started this speech in my head a million times, and I can never get past the first sentence. And it's because of how great of a loss Martez was to me. He was not just a great loss for me, but for his son, for his mother, for his grandmother, his sister, his nephew, his family, his church family, and it's upside down. And most importantly, for today, his vocal jazz family. My husband loved music. From waking up in the morning to him making weird sounds such as, hey, how you? In the show, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, wow. I I wonder, what is he doing? Or me listening in on him, showing his students their parts, or helping him lay down tracks for our church. Music was something constant. It was a part of him. And I was his biggest fan. As cheesy as that may sound, and it is, I really was. I made it to almost all of his concerts. I would sit somewhere, this room is very familiar. I would sit somewhere in there and I'll pull my phone out and I would record. Any of his past students would know, they'll ask me for video, like, I know you were recording, can I get that video? I was truly amazed by his talents. You can imagine having to sit in front of a man with the perfect pitch. It could be quite intimidating, especially when he would tilt his head to the side and raise his eyebrows. And I know I'm not the only one. I call them Martez-isms. We've all experienced them. He just saw the best in people and pushed them towards perfection. Now, if you had Martez as a teacher, you probably heard him use that word, perfection. He felt if you messed up, that's okay. Fix it, learn from your mistakes, and that's how you perfect your craft. Practice makes perfect. I'm honored to be standing before you today. This is, like I said earlier, it's amazing, but I'm not surprised. I have to give a big thank you to Ellen, who was the liaison between Columbia College and me. She has been amazing from the time Martez passed to this present day. She has spoken only about honoring him and keeping his name alive. Not only her, but Sebastian as well, who would email me and call me. We met, and I know it's not a two-man show. They had help on the planning committee for this tribute. So I also like to thank Joe, who I met, Dirk, Cassandra, who I just met, Bobby, Evie, Tiffany, Marcus, Steve, Dre, and Kamisha. I also have to thank you all for coming and participating in the tribute. I also have to thank my church family, the Israel of God's Church, White Horse Army, for coming as well. Our visible leader, Bishop Hinton, and our pastor, Bishop Taylor, who played a big part of Martez's life. Martez's grandmother, his uncle as well. But last but not least, I have to thank his mother. You did an amazing, you did an amazing job raising him. All of your hard work and the countless hours you put in teaching him, training him, loving him, it paid off. You demanded so much, and we who know him as a youngster, we know what she demanded for him, and he stepped up every single time. You knew what he was capable of. His love for teaching, his compassion, his diligence, he got that from watching you. You were his prime example. You had him in the classroom with you when he was just a kid, working. So that work ethic comes from you, watching you. And once again, it paid off. At his profession, which he loved, in the church, which he loved, and even in his marriage he loved, which he showed me every day that he loved. It all paid off. And I love you, and I thank you. I thank I thank God for allowing us to know such a good man. And I thank God for you all. Let's continue to keep his name alive. God bless us.
Hello. I want to first start off by saying thank you, everyone who had any hand in doing this, As Martez's mom, he gave me so many special gifts, He was my best friend, He was my hero. He was my teaching partner for over 25 years. And so when I look at it, I say, if I had to count in some of those most precious gifts that he's given me, one is standing right next to me. I couldn't have asked for a better daughter-in-law. I watched her grow up and I said to myself, I even told my son in listening to him, And then to make sure he didn't miss the gym in front of him, I pointed to her. That's the one. There's nothing greater, no place better to find a wife than right here. And there she is, a friend, a confidant, a beauty. She loves what you love, and she's going to be right by your side. For you, King, here is your queen. And he gave right back by saying, yes, ma'am. Which is what he always said, yes, ma'am. And I thank God that he said, yes, ma'am. And then he also left me with so many other jewels, which are you out here, and that one right there, little Samuel, who we couldn't wait to get here. We couldn't wait for him to get here, and he came. And I know that his father had a prayer for him, that we are working as hard as we can to make sure that we do our part in his upbringing. To lose Martez, and let me fix that word, I haven't lost him. He's here. He's always here, and he will always be here. But to not have him as my teaching partner, as I told Misha, was like, I feel like Superman when he stepped in front of kryptonite. Now, I'm not so bad. Now, I feel like I don't know which way to go, but then there's some portion of him that we always did this thing where if he felt a little down or a little bad, he needed to spout, he'd call me and we'd say, okay, it's time to go get the tea. And we would sit down and have tea. Now I feel him standing behind me saying, and what are you gonna do now? There's more work to do. Let's go. And then I go, huh! And I go and I look at Misha and I go, okay, there it is. I look at Samuel, there it is. I look at Josiah, I say, there it is. I look at my mother and I say, there's work to do. And then I look towards my pastor. See, I can't talk about him and the great things that he's done without recognizing our pastor of the church, Bishop Oscar Taylor, Bishop Hinton, Mother Taylor. The church was his life. It is my life. It is her life. So we're gonna live this thing the best way we know how. My pastor says life is worth living. But you have to make the choice. Martez made the choice, and we too, standing here with my daughter, we've made the choice to continue on and to honor his name, and we both can't thank you enough. Thank you.
Let's hear it again. Once again for Adrian and Misha. And I can see Samuel was really excited by this. As he told me, his name is Samuel Levi Rucker. And don't you leave out that middle name now. This has been a wonderful opportunity to honor our student and our colleague. And we want to thank everybody who, of course, attended, but I also want you to please show your appreciation for that film that opened this wonderful celebration. It was produced conceived, edited, music, and he also arranged it by our own Steve Hadley. Steve, you did it again. Thank you so much.
Yes, he did. We also want to thank Development and Alumni Relations, especially Marcus Hamlin, who, without their help, we could not have pulled this off.
We also want to thank, of course, the Alumni Memorial Choir, along with the band.
And the rhythm section. And all of you. And I have to say that it's events like this that make me so proud to be part of the Columbia College community, because we really are this community that sticks together and comes together for each other. And Cynthia and Misha and Samuel, you three will always be part of our community. So we want to bring out the choir to sing one more of Martez's arrangements. This is a song called Family of Love.
And thank you to all of you who are included in our family of love.
If any of you had the privilege of having Martez as a teacher in any class, you might have a memory of one of these three really hilarious ways that he would discipline us for either messing up our part or misbehaving. I know, these innocent faces, hard to believe we'd cause mischief in any of his classes, but we had our moments. So the first one was saying if you were answering a question. If you raised your hand and started with instead of the actual question, thank you, next. Next person would be called on until further notice. The next thing would be the Don't Be Like Kersey Award. If your face wasn't selling the song, if your face wasn't in it, that wasn't good enough, and you got the Don't Be Like Kersey Award. You don't want that award. And last but not least, my personal favorite, the whiteboard eraser. We got that one sometimes. So for our final piece, we will be performing one of the first songs that he ever transcribed. This is Family of Love by Take 6.
Ooh. family of God, family of God, family of God.
Let's hear it one more time for the Memorial Choir. Grace, Jordan, Megan, Amber, Allie had a brain fart, Savvy, Anthony, Franz. Our rhythm section in the back, Julian, Michael, Andrew, and Jackson. Go ahead and take a bow. The celebration continues, everyone. Please join us for refreshments in the lobby. Thank you.